Welcome to What Are You Sporting About podcast, a podcast about business, employment, sports, and entertainment to help educate, support, and guide you to your next level. Here's your host, attorney Sivonnia DeBarros.
Hello, everybody. I am Sivonnia DeBarros, the protector of athletes and also the founding and principal attorney of the S.L. DeBarros Law Firm, where we represent athletes, business owners, and employees. Now, one thing I want you to know is I help individuals just like you to increase their bottom line by ramping up their legal protection. So if you need support, make sure you reach out to us at prosportlawyer.com, or you can visit sldebarros.com. So today, I have Mr. Dom Faussette on with me, and I'm super excited to speak with him. This is, as you guys know, it's a whole new year. So there are going to be some changes to What Are You Sporting About podcast. So this is going to be exciting because, Dom, you are the first person I can test this out with.
So sorry. I like it.
I know, right? Sorry, you're going to be my guinea pig in a way. But this has been thought out. So we wanted to bring something that was new and dynamic to you guys. Issues that are near and dear to my heart, like the law and resilience and confidence and all those things. So we're going to ask you some of those questions as we go throughout your interview today. But I want to start by introducing you to our audience so they know a little bit about who we're talking to. So Dom is, what's that?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Sounds like a plan.
Oh, okay, awesome. So Dom is an expert in leadership confidence. He's the executive coach and TV show host and has been to hell and back. He is a military veteran and prior police officer with 10 plus years of corporate leadership experience. He's the CEO of Think, React, Lead, which is a company dedicated to pushing people past their limiting beliefs by bridging the gap between their mind and heart for increased success. That is amazing. Thank you so much and welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much. First, I have two brothers that are attorneys, and the fact that you have time to do the law stuff right. And then jump out here on a podcast. I've been telling them to do a podcast. You know, attorneys are, well, I can't because I'm like, really, bro? So you're providing the example of like, no, forget about like the bar. So like right. You can't do a podcast. Okay. Anyways, I'm sorry. It's about me, not you, but you set the standard. I like it.
It really takes time management skills.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Yes. It's a lot of work. But, you know, I want to know a little bit more about you, a little more about your backstory, because I'm trying to figure out how did you go from military police officer to where you are now? Because it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. So I want to know a little bit more about the backstory.
So it's I've never been comfortable being comfortable. As a kid, they call that ADD or ADHD. But I've always thought and felt like, what's more? What else can I do? And I got in trouble a lot. Like out of the four of us, I'm the worst. But I was always pushing the envelope. And my parents were like, bro, you like the military is going to be your thing. So I joined the military. And I was K9 in the military, and I had a bomb dog in our job. My job and my dog, his name was Clint. Our dog as a team was to search for bombs. I got bored with that. So I got out of the military. Then I jumped into law enforcement. There was a year gap. I was in a band. I sucked at that. So that's why it was just a year. I wanted to carry a gun again and make a difference exactly in that order. I was young, filled with testosterone. So I became a cop in Jackson, Mississippi. Never lived in the South before. I felt, you know what, I've heard a lot about the South. You know, I've watched In the Heat of the Night. And I was like, you know what, it can't be like that. Let me go see what it's like. Well, where I lived, and at the time that I lived in Jackson, Mississippi, it's exactly like that. I got bored with that after 4.5 years, maybe 4, I think. And through nepotism, I had the opportunity to move back to Arizona and got a job in sales in some like real estate type thing. Got in sales, did very good with that. Got bored with that after about 2 years, and then found a job as a manager in some startup debt settlement company. Did that, got bored, did that for like 2 or 3 years, and hired somebody to write my resume. because I know my skill set and that ain't it. And then found a recruiter, found a job at a company that I was not qualified for. Did the job. I faked it until I could make it, for about 2-3 years. And I found my lane. And when I started leading people that had your double masters or a master's in mathematics or working on doctorates in finances, and I don't have a degree, I realized, okay, one, I'm a great leader. Two, I'm an excellent communicator. And the higher I got up, or the higher I rose in the corporate space, there were always these large projects to work on. And I don't like working on projects. My whole team, none of them wanted to speak. All of them said, hey, we'll do all the research for the next 9 months if you can deliver it for the, at the end of the year when we have to deliver our findings. I said, deliver to an audience? Sold. And what I found was the more I spoke, the more I delivered. Unfortunately, the person on the microphone gets all the credit. Even though I said it was a team effort, and I prefaced that, I got recognized. So I got promoted because of my ability to speak. And then one day somebody came into one of the companies I was recruited just to do my leadership development at, and somebody came in to speak, and a check was written to them for $10,000. I did not know. So growing up in the church and just growing up the way I grew up, which is not too different than many people that look like me, people speak and they motivate. Like, that's just a thing. Well, I didn't know it was a multi-billion-dollar industry along with coaching. I did my research. I launched a book. And then one morning, my boss came in and he said, look, Dom, I was in the shower and I heard you on Fox News. One, I need that never to happen again because it felt weird because I thought you were in my house. Two, you're better than this. Like, you might want to consider doing your own thing. So I looked into it, and I talked to my dad, who's a entrepreneur, successful, and he's a little different. He said, look, one, if you have to ask, you're not in the right place. Two, if you can't handle, this is his verbiage to me, if you can't handle your little 50, 60 hours a week, your little couple of clients, your little speaking engagements, as he said, you'll never be able to handle being a millionaire. So that told me how much work, like, I was really about to jump into. So I worked and worked and worked for another 6 to 9 months. And then one day, like, once everything lined up and I had a good book of business, I left. And this was 4.5 years ago.
That's pretty fast, though, for 4 years, if you think about it. But it's something in the middle of all of that you stated, because part of your bio or the intro to the show for you was about helping people to crush their limiting beliefs. So you found yourself being catapulted in this position of leadership where other people were so afraid to step in front and actually lead the team. Mm-hmm. So you took that on. But one thing that you said was, I didn't even have a degree, but here I am leading these people with these higher degree titles and all this stuff, but you were still able to roll up your sleeves and do the work. So most people would think that because they don't have a particular certification, or they don't have a particular degree or doctorate degree or master's or what have, maybe even a high school diploma, right, they may feel that they are not at the place where they should be to actually lead or tell somebody like, hey, this is what you can do to get to point Z, for instance. So do you ever struggle with limiting beliefs yourself? And if you did, how were you able to overcome that to be in a position where you are now, where you're actually leading people?
So this will sound weird. I don't struggle with limiting beliefs because I wake up every morning grateful for the fact that I'm alive. Like, there's been several times, like, I don't feel I'm supposed to be on this earth. I grew up banging light compared to my friends, but I lost 5 of my best friends to gang violence before I hit freshman year in high school. I got stabbed in algebra class my sophomore year in high school.
Wow.
And seeing the things I saw in the military, seeing the things I saw as a cop, I've always just felt like blessed. I should have been dead several times over. So for me to be able to live this life, and let me preface it with this. I wake up to a spouse who loves me, a wife who loves me. I wake up in a big home compared to where I grew up, right? Mm-hmm. My garage is filled with everything I've wanted. I get to raise Ducatis with my wife, who also raises Ducatis. My kids are healthy. The whole Faussette family lives on the same block. Mm-hmm. Right? All of us drive Porsches, right? There's just So the way I was brought up is when you leave this house, you're a Faussette. I was never brought up as you're a black male because where I grew up, the news headings were the average black man is either dead or in prison by the time they were 18. Like that was heard on the news. So my parents knew not to refer to me as a black man, but refer to me as a Faussette. And what my mom said was, because she was in the military, she said, you know what? I've seen a bunch of men burned. Half of them burned alive. And what I noticed is when they burned, their skin color changed. So you're a Faussette. And she told me this when I was 7. She a little rough. She's from Chicago, South Side. That's just her way of talking and motivating people. But I always stepped out of the house with, I'm a Faussette. And I'm supposed to help people. I'm supposed to do good. Most of society goes into life with this win-win, which I don't agree with. I'm more of a win more. And my win more mindset is if what I'm doing can help the next person that I'm working with win more than what I win, I'm good with that. And that's going to take me so much further. And I thought that way. I've thought that way for the last probably 10, 15 years. So I think that's why I don't have a limiting mindset, because my dad didn't go to college and he's a multimillionaire. My sister is in college now, and which means she hasn't graduated yet. She is head of some executive. I don't know what she does. She's an executive. She also runs a business. We as humans, void of culture, void of gender, void of race, void of ethnicity, have too many examples of people and like humans that have made it for us to wallow in our own pity and sorrow and think, well, I can't do this because I'm a woman. I can't do this because I'm not educated. No. Well, if you think you can't do it because you're not educated, get educated. It doesn't mean go to school. I mean, I would suggest people go to school now, but do the work. And I think at the end of the day, people just don't want to do the work. They'd rather be lazy and down on themselves than actually do the work.
Ooh, that's deep. Just hearing you speak, there's so many similarities between your family and I, but I absolutely love the fact that your family completely changed or disrupted the narrative around being Black versus who you actually are, right? Because that's just a color, right? Our hue and our skin, but it doesn't define who you are as an individual. So when you leave you leave your home, you are a Faussette. Like that is who you are. That is your family. That is your, for lack of a better word, maybe somewhat of your identity in a way, right? Yeah. And so I love how they completely disrupted that narrative so that you understand that you are more than this African-American Black man walking down the street or doing whatever you're doing day in and day out. You actually, there is a purpose to every move that you make as a Faussette, as a member of this family. And so I want to transition a little bit, because one of the questions we ask all of our guests is near and dear to my heart. What are you sporting about? And before I let you answer the question, I want you guys to know that this segment now is being brought to you by Athletes Making Moves. If you are an individual who is seeking to understand your name, image, and likeness, your intellectual property, and how it works, we recommend that you go and get our newest book, Athletes Making Moves. And you can also register for our upcoming course, Athletes Making Moves course. You can do that at bit.ly/AMM course. So, what are you sporting about, Mr. Dom?
You need a TV show. Look at you. I see you. You're doing the little segues with the little stuff. Well, I see you. Well, I'm sorry. Let me regain my composure. So I'm a radio show host. Yeah, I see you. I see you. I'm a radio show host. Like, my camera setup in my office is ridiculous. I'm launching a TV show. I know the work that goes into doing what you're doing. So unless you've done it, nobody's going to know. I'm like, oh, okay, this looks easy. It's not. So kudos to you for like just doing more than what your education causes you to be. So again, thank you.
And that backdrop is tight too. I'm gonna have to get me one.
It's all it is a step and repeat. Like, this is cloth. Awesome. This is cloth. But when I'm on Fox and CNBC or NBC, and my brand is there, right? I get clients because of this. Anyways, what am I sporting about? All right. So I asked my wife, I said, babe, I'm going to this podcast. It's called it's a sporting podcast. What are you sporting about? She laughed. So my wife is a collegiate basketball player, collegiate softball player. I've played one-on-one with her twice. I won't play again because I won once and she won once. Like, she knows me in sports, not our thing, right? If it doesn't have wheels, I'm not interested. But when I thought about it, I race motorcycles. My wife races motorcycles, like on the track, like the sport bikes. And to me, that's a sport. It's a sport. And when I thought about I actually put some thought into it, because that's not a question I get asked ever. When you race motorcycles on the back straight, you are flying 100 plus miles an hour, depending upon the length of the track. But that straight comes into a real sharp turn typically. And on that turn, you got to lean. You got to squeeze your thighs against the tank of that bike. You got to tuck. You got to downshift. You have to not look at the end of the straight, but you have to actually look through the turn to where you want your bike to end up, because where the eyes look, the body goes. And you got to lean that so low, and it feels so uncomfortable that your bike in the ground, like you could literally take your knees and your elbows and touch the ground. That's how far you're leaning. And you're pushing normalcy past its limits. And when I came up with the answer to what are you sporting about, I'm sporting about pushing my life past the limits so I can be the example to others of what it looks like, that you ain't gonna crash when you come through the turn. You just got to get through it.
Whoa, that's deep. You know what? I'm like, that is deep. And I've had some great answers to this question, but that is a completely new and profound way to think about what are you sporting about, because life has so many twists and turns, and sometimes it has these upcoming turns that you didn't even know were there. But when you do the work, like you say, like if you prepare yourself for anything, we know that as long as we live, something is bound to happen that we didn't plan for. Right. And so if you plan, in spite of knowing what that thing would be when that turn comes up, whether it's a sharp curve or rounded curve or whatever it may be, you will be equipped to take on that additional task without losing focus of where you are.
So true. But it's hard. Like the straightaway is life. And let's say you're going through a divorce. That's a straightaway. Let's say somebody close to you died. That's a straightaway. Let's say you lost your job. That's a straightaway. If you continue to focus on that straightaway, you're going to crash. The crash is depression, anxiety, feeling sorry for yourself. But the turn is like the end of the turn is where you want to be. I want to be employed again. I want to start my business. I want to be in love again. I want to find somebody to love me. I want to get over this death. So look to where you want to go. As your body moves, your body starts to go that way. And then you wake up like, oh, another straightaway. But now I'm through the turn. And my next straightaway is now I'm remarried or I'm in a relationship. Now I'm over the death. I have a job much better than I even anticipated. Matter of fact, that last job was garbage. I'm glad I got fired. So you have to come at it with that standpoint, but you got to believe it.
Yes. You put me in the mind of the 200-meter race because I ran track. And when you're coming off of that curve, your body is leaning and you're starting to, turn from that 3/4 speed and now, transition into a sprint. But you know what's coming up ahead once you get off that curve. You know what the strategy is when you're into that curve and coming off into that last 100. And you're so true, like to see that in a real life example, your last straightaway, I don't even want to say your last straightaway, but your last 100 meter is all the stuff that you've been working for. And, sometimes I think people, they give up way too early before they can get on the last straightaway.
Man.
Like if you just waited and were patient and actually believe what your mouth said it believed, there could be so much more fruitfulness on that last straightaway. And I think sometimes people end up throwing in the towel too early because their success is not leveling up to what they believe it should be because other people's success looks different.
Right. Comparison.
Yeah, that comparison. Yep. And I struggled with that before as well until it was really understanding who I was Understanding my own unique gifts and appreciating that, because we all look different. Like I've said so many times, through social media, through individuals, like the Most High grants us all individual gifts.
Right.
We may be able to do things that other people may be able to do, but the way that we're able to speak or connect with other people, or the things that we're able to create, is so unique to us.
Correct.
Right? You created Think, React, Lead. That's unique to you, to Dom. Right? And everything that you do inside of that it's unique to you. That is your gift. I didn't come up with that. I came up with what are you sporting about? You know? But if I worked so hard to hope that my success looked like Dom,
you better cut your hair.
Give up.
You gotta, and you got to be bald. That's not going to be the look for you. That's not going to be the look for you.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, like I just, your example of that question just really hit home for me, and it's given me a lot more to think about as well. Because when I think about it, I do think about it as a purpose type question, which is one of the reasons why I asked this question. But if you're able to lean into those turns, I really do believe that people will be able to lean in more into their purpose and actually be able to make the impact that they desire to make.
And there's some things they need to do, not need to. I mean, use us as an example, but one thing I've done, a lot of things, I'll record my own voice in the future tense, like Dom Faussette, you are host of a radio show. Dom Faussette, you are the host of a TV show. Dom Faussette, you are a staff writer on such and such magazine. And I'll record 5 minutes of, we call those affirmations. I'll listen to them at night. I work from home now, so I listen to them throughout the day, just by myself, right? And when I hear myself say it, my subconscious can believe it when my conscious doesn't believe it until my conscious does. Now, so anybody watching this, don't knock it till you try it, right? It works. And the other thing is, when you walk outside, and I don't care if you're going to Target, I don't care if you're going to Whole Foods, I don't care where you're going. And when you go outside, look like you're about to get on, you'll be ready. So I'm a speaker. Every time I leave my house, I tell myself, if somebody asks me right now, hey, Dom, can you hop on this private jet and fly out to so-and-so and be there by this evening to speak to these 10,000 people? I should be able to say yes. That's my mindset. I don't have to be going anywhere to be dressed in a suit at home. Sometimes I just want to feel good. I want to walk past all my mirrors. Like, brother, you look good. Like, that's just me. Right? I don't need anybody's validation. Now, you're not going to start where I'm at right now. And I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to your audience. You are going to have people that ain't going to get you, and they're not going to understand like what your future looks like, because you were ignorant your last 10 years, right? I was an idiot for most of my childhood. People will start to support you only once you begin to support yourself. Use a numerical example. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you support yourself the most, 1 being you don't support yourself at all. Let's say you're a 5, right in the middle. You're a 5. You only support yourself to a 5. Everybody around you can only meet you where you've met yourself. The problem with people is they expect people to treat them at a 10, yet they allow themselves to be treated like a 5, and then they go and let their husband treat them like a 3, but then be mad because their girlfriend and people at church or at work don't treat them at a 10. Get your life together, get your home right, and then people will start to treat you like the queen that you are, not the peasant that you allow people at your house to treat you like. I'll stop there.
Woo! Preach, brother.
Where's the organ when I need it? I need an organ and a church fan.
Okay, and I actually have a cousin that plays the organ really, really good.
Oh, shoot. Where are they at?
Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness. I mean, like, some real hard love being dropped out here for you guys, because it's so true. Like, you can't expect for other people to give you something or to validate something that you haven't yet validated in yourself. Like, if you're not showing up in the world in the way that you desire to be taken, how can you expect other people to see you that way? Right? Like, I can't show up hardly doing anything, not serving nobody, barely walking around with a client and then ask people to go and drop 10K. I want to retire.
Nope, you can't.
They're gonna be like, well, who you worked with before? You
Right.
know, so yes, you definitely dropped that. Thank you so much for that nugget. So Rhonda, someone who's watching the podcast right now, she said, oh, that is good. I've written affirmations, but never recorded me. So do it, Rhonda, do it. And then she said, act as if. You know, you made me think about high school because, okay, I'm gonna blame my mom a little bit. So I used to follow my mom around UF campus, and she used to walk so fast. So I would literally be running, trying to keep up with her, and she would make me a little scared because she would say, come on, I'm going to leave you. Well, that fast walking has stayed with me. And in high school, I remember like people, my peers would be saying to me, Sivonnia, why are you walking so hard? You're walking so fast. Like, where are you going? Like, but in my mind, I was on a mission. I had some things that I had to do, right? Where other people would kind of lollygag around, and you see them 10 years later and they still walking with that same kind of mindset, really going nowhere, you know, going absolutely nowhere with no purpose, no idea whatsoever. And so I definitely get how you have to put yourself in a position where not only you believe that you have something to accomplish, but other people see you also in that work accomplishing things, and then they also want to work with you, support you. Because I can tell you, like, most of your family is not going to support you, right? It's not going to happen.
It's not because they don't love you.
You're
like
right.
My sister literally just reposted one of my posts a month ago, and it was my editor put together this infomercial. It's an AI speaker reel. Now it shows blips of me on Fox News, on CBS, on NBC, on different stages. It took me 5 years to get even all that content together to have it today to send to my editor. But I'm appreciative of that. My family's hard, but we grew up hard, so I expect it. And they're not paying me anyway, so why would I want them to support me?
Exactly.
They're never going to hire me. Most of them don't even know what I do. They laugh at me now, but you have to see you there and understand that, you know what, I'm gonna get there no matter what. And that scenario you use where your mom was like, let's go. My dad and mom did the same thing. Drag my feet, smack in the back of the head. My mom was like, keep up. My son's 11. I'm a little hard on him. Boy, where you supposed to be? If I'm here, where you at? But then I had to explain to him, I said, son, we travel abroad. And the reason, and this is something Black parents don't typically do. I think it's a social class parents, not just, I think it's every race, but a social class. They don't explain. I'd explain to them, we travel abroad. I need you next to me because if we're in Spain or if we're somewhere abroad, you can get kidnapped. Do you understand the importance of it? He's like, yes. And I think we have to explain to ourselves, you know what? And let me just use Rhonda. I'm Rhonda talking to Rhonda. Rhonda, right now, this is my situation. 3 years from now, Rhonda, you're going to be a multimillionaire. But what does that feel like? It feels like I'm getting chauffeured in a Rolls Royce. Okay, cool. I'm doing lunches in helicopters. Okay, cool. I'm, taking cruises where there's, a big boat, but there's only 10 couples on there, right? That's money cruise, right? Cool. Now, what do I need to do? Now you know what it feels like. And what do I need to do right now to get there? I got to get rid of some of these old magazines that my grandma been making me hold on to. I have to start taking the china out of the china cabinet and daily eat off the china because I'm not pulling this out for a special moment. I was born. My name's Rhonda, or in this case, my name's Dom Faussette. I am a special moment, right? Like when I go speak and somebody says, Dom, where's your PowerPoint? I say, brother, I am the PowerPoint. Let's get this. Right? I don't need a PowerPoint because all the words come out of my mouth. What you got to read for? Everything's going to come out of my mouth. Just listen. I'm getting amped right now.
I love it. I absolutely love it, man. Let me tell you. So I've been on this rampage. I've been telling a lot of people about how I'm a millionaire because now it's connected. It's completely connected with my mind, my heart, and my tongue. I know this to be a fact. But previously it was, I want to be a millionaire, believing that it was possible to do that, but not really sure if I was a millionaire. So something magical really happens when you affirm to yourself, like your heart connects so strongly with your mind that you are something. And then for some reason, it just seemed to all align. You know what you need to do. You know what the next step is. You move in a way through faith, right? Doing the work to actually realize the success that you see or envision for yourself. Because when you talk about, okay, what do I want? Yes, Rhonda say I do eat off the china. I love it. So look, I had one of my grandmothers who passed away quite some time ago. I remember she bought me these dishes when I moved to Tampa for college. And she told me, she said, look, don't wait for special occasions to eat off of your plates, right? Make sure you enjoy them while you're alive. And it's so important. We have to make sure that we enjoy the things that we are here and able to enjoy while we're in the moment, because we never know, when the last time would be. So thank you for imparting that. And so I want to go ahead and move and shift, because I don't want to keep you too late. But I want to ask
good,
you.
Go ahead.
We're good? Okay, good.
We're
so
good.
I want to ask you to tell me about 2 things that has helped you to build resilience in your life. Considering that your family sounds amazing and there are a lot of similarities as you speak between yours and mine. Sometimes I feel like folks like us could have part of like this built-in type of resilience. So sometimes to other people on the outside, it may not seem that there are different areas of resilience where we have to foster and cultivate in ourselves to make sure that we are in the best position to go after what we want. So tell me about 2 things that helped you to build resilience in your life.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you these 2 things based off of being a Black man in today's society. There's something that Black men do when they get a little bit of coin, and they start to buy things to prove to their white counterparts that I belong here too. I had to ask myself a question. Like, I bought a lifted red truck. My motorcycle was red. And my first motorcycle was like the fastest, one of the top 5 expensive bikes out there. Is a Ducati 1199 at the time. And I wanted it, but I was doing it. And I noticed myself pulling up to stoplights and seeing white dudes look at it. And my thought process was so negative, was like, yeah, my truck's better than yours. My bike's better, faster than yours. Right. And when I changed that mindset, and I had to say, Dom, bro, you don't want people looking at you because you're Black. You want them to look at you because of your character, because of like how you show up, like your command presence. Right. Then if you don't want people looking at you like that, you can't look at other people like that. So that's one thing. The other thing I did was, and I want everybody to implement this, but I want you to listen first. I diversified my association. So if the 5 closest people to you act like you, look like you, think like you, believe like you, and sound like you, you will never grow. We all have these unconscious biases. We all have these prejudices and these stereotypes that we put on people, thanks to the media or even our ignorant grandparents, because they grew up in a different time.
Didn't know.
Yeah, they don't know. You have to start making a list of people you're not comfortable around. Let's say it's a white gay male. Let's say it's a Jewish female. Let's say it's your prior military. You've done some deployments. You're not comfortable around Arabs that wear the full garb. Like, God puts these people in your life for you to take time to get to know them. And once you realize people are just people, and people are motivated by some of the same activities, some of the same hobbies, and learn some of the stories that are steeped within their culture, within their ethnicity, some of their gender struggles, like learn people. That's how I got into radio. You start to add the positive parts of those stories to your life. And now you are able to see the world from a different scope. So in short, the 2 things I did was, I started treating people the way I wanted to be treated. And the other thing I did was started to be interested in people, not just myself.
I like that. And especially leaving off with that, it's reminding me that sometimes, and you see this in networking, right? People will connect with you because they want you to do something for them. but it's not necessarily learning or wanting to get to know you. And one thing I realized, because I used to dread network, and I put this in the book, What Are You Sporting About? Actually, I used to dread it. Oh my gosh. But now I absolutely love it. I welcome it, because for me, I'm on a journey to find my new family member, to really truly learn about other people, what makes them tick, like what are they really passionate about. And the thing that gets me most excited is if I can connect that person with somebody else who I know can help them get closer to their dream, whatever it is they're trying to do. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So my next question, this is more of a football kind of question, because there are 4 downs in football, right? my little brother was laughing at me. He said, I said, well, hold on, wait, this is right. There's 4 downs before there's either field goal or a touchdown. And he said, yeah, that's right. It's just funny hearing you say it, which I don't know why, because I grew up around sports. But anyway, so this question asks you to provide 4 key issues that have helped you to achieve the success that you have today. So it can be 4 random things, 4 people, for anything that has helped you. So look at them as your downs or your guidepost to the success that you have currently.
I'd say the first example would be my great grandfather. I knew him until I was like 5, and then he passed away. And when we moved from Japan to California, he lived with us. And every morning we walked to the bodega, and he would get like his grapefruit and some bread, and then I would eat oatmeal at the house, but we'd walk, and he would show me how to walk like a man. That was one. And what I learned about him was he was one of the first Black police officers in Philadelphia. He was the only cop in the family outside of myself now. And he got here on a banana boat from Antigua. So that stayed with me. The other thing was, when I came back from the military, I worked for my dad, and my dad, who looks like me, is in an industry that nobody looks like him. And my dad's old school, so the whole transfer of money over the interwebs doesn't happen. He goes and picks up his checks from his customers. And one day we go in to pick up a check, and I'm working with him. And as soon as we walk in, the guy says, "Yo, what's up? What's up, mayate?" Which is the N-word in Spanish. And I'm hot. Like, I'm just fresh out the military, like a month, and young and ripped, and knowing I could take this dude out. Like, you wouldn't be the first dude I've taken out. I know I can hurt you. And we walked outside, and as I was walking outside, I'm like, yo, my dad's a sellout. Like, I don't know why he ain't knock him out. Like, just being ignorant. And my dad sits in the car, and he's like, I see you have a problem with how I handle that. I said, yeah. He said, let me stop you, son. Let me explain something to you. He said, 1, this ain't nothing compared to what my dad went through and what his dad went through. 2, no words should ever force you to be in a position that causes you to take food out of your family's mouth. I'm here to get money, and that money keeps a roof over our head. It allowed all them cars in the driveway, all the things we're able to do. It allows us to live the life that we live. And if this ignorant dude want to call me that, that's cool. Just don't touch me and don't hurt my family. And I was like, and that was number 2. Number 3, as a cop, I was in a position to kill a man. And long story short, he's standing on a porch. I'm sitting there, weapon drawn. On the Glock that I had, is a 5-pound trigger pull. So it takes 5 pounds of pressure for the bullet to exit the chamber. And I was 2.5 pounds of trigger pull into a 5-pound trigger. And as he's standing there, I'm looking at him. And as I'm about to kill him, I'm like, I'm gonna hit him here and then twice in the chest. I hear the words daddy. And when you're in a position like that to take a person's life, like, adrenaline obviously kicks in and you see things differently. But hearing that, you don't, like, nothing trains you for that. And it caused me to refocus. And I've been a skilled fighter for quite some time. I do jujitsu now and taekwondo and Krav Maga and all that stuff. But I said, you know what? God, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. He had a knife on him. I holstered my weapon just as I did. He jumped off the porch and started charging towards me. And as he's charging towards me, I'm like, you know what? If I die today, I'm cool knowing that I didn't kill a man in front of his 3 sons. I can go on about that, but I'm obviously alive. I effected the arrest. And then I put my 2 weeks notice in like 6 months later. And that was a moment that showed me that I wasn't here to take lives. I was put on this earth to save lives. And then the last thing, I say the fourth thing was, when I met my wife, that first week, my goal was to sabotage the relationship, sabotage by way of sharing all of the struggles that I had dealing with PTSD. Because at the time I was sleeping in my closet. I had a nice place to live, but out of discomfort, I slept in my closet with my Glock 26 under my pillow and my Benelli shotgun at the door, because I can control that space. I shared all the dark things I've ever done that I've never shared and will never share with anybody. And I said, I'm not the man for you to love. And this is the reason why. Like, you may have met me, the dude in the suit, the smiley, hey, I'm Dom. But this is what I deal with at night. And there's a reason why I'm not with nobody right now. And she just looked at me and said, that ain't nothing. I still love you. And I had never felt love. Like, I had never been in a position to receive love that way. I probably have felt it, but I ignored it previously. But in that moment, I realized, yo, like, this is real. But I understand I did the work to learn to love myself up to that moment. And when I met her, I also made the decision, because I have a daughter. She was like 14, 15 at the time. And I said, what do I want a man? How do I want a boy to treat my daughter? And then immediately as I thought about that, because I was angry, she's about to start dating, I'm going to kill this dude. You can't do that as a dad, apparently. God was like, now I want you to, everything you expect a man to treat her like, I need you to do for the next woman that you talk to. I'm like, yo, but I'm Dom. Like, I can't do that. But I was like, you know what? All I can do is grow. Let me try. It's a challenge. So when I met my wife, I said, we're not going to have no sex before marriage. She looked at me like I was crazy, but I needed to get to know her, because I knew what my habits were. I needed to get to know her as a friend. And that helped me trust her, and it helped her trust me. Now, granted, we got married a year later. I proposed within 90 days because we both bought Ducatis together, and there were just some symmetries there. But those were the four things: seeing the history of my great grandfather, understanding the presence of my father, understanding the presence of what it might be like to take a father's life, and then being the father.
Whew. It's so much in this. It's so much in this.
I know. I felt, and I've never realized it that way before either. You're a great interviewer, by the way. So kudos to you for figuring that out.
Thank you. It's so much in this that I want to unpack, because first off, I love grandparents. The lessons that they have. One thing I love is sitting and listening to the stories, because not only does it give you more insight into why they are the way that they are, or why they tell you that you shouldn't or should do certain things, it gives you a reference into their day, of how they've handled situations. And then your dad, because I would be just like you. I'd be pissed off, ready to fight. Like, who is this person?
You about to get these hands and these feet. You don't know who you're talking to. No, can't do that.
You about to get it. And I've actually been called the N-word in Michigan. And we know, like, yeah, we ain't gonna even go into that. But these last two have really tugged on my heartstrings, because my family, so two of my brother-in-laws, one of my sister-in-laws are police officers.
Okay.
And my nephew is also a police officer. Now he's retired. And with the around the George Floyd matter and all this unrest, and I don't even know if they were supposed to show us this. I hope I don't get in trouble for sharing this. But my nephew is just so like near and dear to my heart. I love that boy like none other. He was on a call, and I don't know how they got the film of this, but these guys had apparently robbed some store. My nephew was by the door, and when that door opened, when he actually had to bust the window or something, then open the door, and the gun was sitting right in the what do you call it, like the pocket of the door.
Yeah.
And so I'm just almost kind of shooken up a little bit now just thinking about it, because I remember how I felt when I saw it, and I burst into tears. And my husband was asking me, like, was I okay? And I said, do you realize like that could have been the moment that we lost our nephew? And for me, it's hard, knowing that there's someone that you love that is in a position to serve and protect, but who can also be equally wounded. That's a big charge. And I also understand the responsibility that comes with the badge, and the responsibility that comes just in being human and being a person and finding yourself in that position in that moment where you were in a position to potentially kill somebody, but to retreat and to shift your mindset in the moment is something that so many people lack. It is a skill set that a lot of people really have not been able to hone, to recognize, is this really the moment where I want to completely change the course of a person's life, right? And so I have to give you props in that moment, because we don't know. And I've heard the stories from my brothers about domestic calls or issues happening at people's homes, and how those are some of the dangerous calls that you can ever answer. Something that may seem like a frivolous type of argument could turn out into a shootout. You just never know what position other people are in. But to operate in a way, and I know you said, like, if I end up getting stabbed or shot or whatever, at least I know I haven't taken a person from from their dad. It is such a high level of faith that you had to exercise in that moment that has also catapulted you, I feel like, to where you are. And the beauty, the beauty of that too is knowing that there are individuals on our journey who are willing and ready to take on the tasks, that all the stuff that come along with us, to help us and to see us be great. I love that about your wife. I absolutely do. Because when I met my husband, I wasn't the best Sivonnia either. I always say, boy, God made you exactly for me, baby, because I don't know if anybody else would have been able to handle me. Okay. So I just absolutely love that. And I can see the trajectory in your life and the pivotal moments that each of these individuals have made and really implanted in your life to help you to excel and to continue excelling, so that you can also definitely impact other people the way that they deserve to be impacted. So thank you for being vulnerable and really sharing all of that, because it's a lot. It's absolutely a lot.
I just want to touch on one thing for anybody that's watching this that either is in law enforcement or wants to be. I'm a skilled fighter. So yes, there was faith, but then there was like, all this dude got is nice. Right. Yeah. Like I'm good. And I was in the gym often. I was not a fat cop, not a fat man now. I was in shape. I was strong, because there is this thing that happens I don't know what gym membership prisoners go to, but they get real strong. And when they come out, they're stronger than anybody that I've ever come in contact with. So I knew, like, I needed to develop something so I can handle these dudes. So it wasn't just like I had this it wasn't out of body experience. I'm not gonna lie. Because if it was another day, I would have put 3 in them. But I was just in a space in that moment that God saved for me.
Right.
But the work that he made me do up to that point positioned me there. But had it been like 18 minutes earlier, I don't know. He may be dead. I don't know. And it would have been a justified kill.
But think about moments like that, though.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, they're
just in our life, right? In our lives, like the way that you even spoke previously. If someone called me today and said, "Hey, I need you to get on this jet and go and speak to 10,000 people," I will be ready. Right? There are moments. Yes, there are moments where, if we look back a year from now or a few months from now, we might not have been ready. But doing the work helps you to get ready, to be prepared, to answer the call. And so everything that you had done led you to that moment, positioned you and had you ready and able to refocus in the moment. Like, a lot of people aren't able to do that. How many people are stuck and stagnated from issues that really all it takes is a simple pivot, you know, but they're thrown off course. It really is a moment, like there are different moments in life that equal up to a pivotal plateau, if you will, in our lives to you move us into another dimension of where we, you know, on our journey to where we want to be and where we need to be. But you have to do the work to be able to even pivot and shift in the moment that you find yourself in. And so gratefully, you were already prepared. You just didn't know it.
And had I been advised on it minutes before, I'd be like, hold up, bro. No disrespect, but I ain't ready. Right. So that we're inclined to know what we need to do. For example, many people, some of y'all watching, sit down and watch TV, and you in your head, you hear, get up and clean the kitchen, get up and do the laundry, get up and get organized, get off the sofa and go to the gym. But you sitting here praying for stuff that your body can't catch. You can't do the little things like fold your drawers and put them in the doggone drawer. Then how can somebody fold a $100,000 check so that you can put it in your bank account? You're not ready for it. Let me fix my face.
Okay, well, just tell me where to send my tithes at, Pastor Dom.
That's the other thing. All jokes aside, I have been tithing and offering 10% of everything I make for the last decade, and my lifestyle shows it. I'm a brag. I got a Porsche 911 Turbo in my garage right now. I have 3 Ducatis in my garage. We were in Cabo last week. That's why the glow is so on point. We were walking down the street in a nice part of town, and we're going to get some cowboy boots for myself. My wife sees a Tesla, and she's like, "Oh, that's pretty." I'm thinking like, "Go do your thing, and we'll come back out with these boots." I put a deposit down. She walked out with the keys, buying the car off the showroom floor. And it wasn't, I don't know nothing about Tesla. She has one prior, but she bought the Plaid. Apparently the Plaid is like creme de la creme. This thing is stupid fast. But it is. But I'm there because when God gave me $100, he trusted me. I did some good things with it. Right. Then he gave me $500. I did some great things with it. He gave me $1,000. And then I stopped allowing money to control my life. And I stopped being stingy. See, I stopped doing this with my dollars, and I started doing this. And then God positioned me around people that knew a little bit more about money. And then I was in a position to where somebody said, "Hey, if you want to hire me as a coach, it's going to be about $50,000 because I believed in myself so much and I trusted my skill set so much. I paid them that much money. And then that's the thing that launched me to be a coach, right? Launched me to get out of my job. I charge $2,000 to $4,000 a month, just depending upon what we're talking about, just to have 45 to 60 minute conversations. Like some of you are like, how could you do that? Because I can, right? Because people don't pay me, right? So now that he gives me more money, he trusts me with it. So y'all sit here, I've never smoked or done drugs, never drank alcohol. He gives you $100, he gives you $500. Now you think you deserve to go to the club. First of all, one, you're too old if you listen to this podcast because life is hard. Number 2, get your priorities together. You're going to church. Why are you going to church? Somebody making you feel good, making you feel inspired for free for how long? When you going to start paying your tithes? If you don't believe in tithes and offerings, then get your butt out to church.
There you go. There you go. And you know, your example about holding your fist so tightly, like when you hold, I made this comment about a year ago because of a certain situation that happened. And I said, when people hold their fists so tight, the only thing that they can eat is crumbs because you're so worried about other people getting something that you don't want to let some things go. Right. The way that you're able to receive more blessings, more anything, whatever that looks like for you, is to open your hand, give some things away, right? So that when it's time to receive, you will actually have the ability to hold it. You can't hold anything with a closed fist. You just can't. You can't. So I love your example of how your money has elevated because you were faithful in doing things that you knew you were supposed to do. Like you were entrusted with at every level of income. Okay, what am I supposed to sow into now? Right? A lot of people won't even take the time to sow and invest into their own self. If you're not willing to do that, how can you demand other people to invest in the service or the product that you have, and you're not even willing to invest in yourself? Make it make sense.
if you're the type of person, not you, your audience, that struggles with self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
start giving things to people. I remember when I wanted this Louis Vuitton wallet, and I finally got it. Had it for like 6 months, and something came over me just to give it to a kid, and I
Mm-hmm.
gave it to the kid like it was going to impact his life greater than mine.
Mm-hmm.
When you start giving of yourself and your time and those dollars, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
because of the vehicles I drive, because everywhere I live, people don't look like me outside of the Faussettes on my block.
So we
So
don't really African Americans.
I'm okay with that. It's a different world, right?
It is.
When I'm at a stoplight and I got personalized tags, like you see me coming,
Mm-hmm.
and there's somebody on the side that needs money, I just give them money. I'm not gonna lie, I don't always want to give them money, but I do it because of optics, right? So maybe you don't want to always give something.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, and this is church, prophet came to me and was like, hey, it's been put in my heart that you need to pay for this person's honeymoon. It was thousands of dollars. And we in my head, we needed the money. But you know what? I've been obedient for a long time. You could I'm good. Gave it, did it, but I did it with a glad heart. I was happy about it, excited about it. Boom. I felt the blessings immediately. So y'all just don't you worry about so many trivial things, understanding that they're tricks of this of and I hate to get into church, but it's tricks of the devil. Like, do you think everything being televised and has been for the last 2 years, that's there to divide?
Yeah.
Black folks been dealing with stuff worse than that way prior to some George Floyd.
Yep.
Like,
it's true.
It happens. Your anger ain't gonna change nothing.
Right.
And there's a reason why people like Jay-Z and Diddy didn't start talking about the community until their money was so deep that all you saw was that dollar. But they had to get there first.
Yeah.
And a dude talked to me, he's like, how do you, this is like right when George Floyd, how do you stay so positive? I said, brother, let me explain something to you. Give me some examples of when, you were treated bad because you were black. And he said, I was 16, this cop pulled me over. What were you wearing? A white tee, okay, cool, and baggy pants. I said, bro, as a cop, white tee and baggy pants, that was like the dope boy uniform.
Yeah.
So you did fit a description, unfortunately. I said, give me another example. He said, when I went to this store, they stared at me. Cool, what were you wearing? Oh, I was 32, and I was wearing kind of the same thing. I'm like, bro, you too old one to be dressing like that. But anyway, to give me another example, he didn't have any. I said, okay, now check this out. Give me an example of when somebody that looked like you did you worse. My man, he couldn't stop giving me examples. My uncle owes me $10,000. My dad did this. My sister did this. My homeboy, hooked up with my girlfriend. I'm like, but you are mad at a whole race of people based off two little examples that happened to you. I don't care about what happened to everybody else. What happened to you?
That's perspective, man.
Like,
wow.
You continue to show love for people that share your blood and your last name, and you won't stand up for yourself the way you think you're standing up for yourself right now as a black man.
Yeah, that's putting a lot of things in perspective, really. Because then it makes me think, is that really is that your own belief? Or is it just the society and culture?
No, it's a cultivated social belief.
It is. Yeah.
No black people I know, no black people my age, let me take that back, know a slave. None of us know a slave. I went hunting with a group of white dudes, and I'm probably, just based off their conversation and how they like to hunt out in South Dakota, the only black person they have been that close to in at least a year.
Yeah.
But when we're hunting, I'm listening to their conversations, and they all own land. My great grandpappy owned this, and he did this. My great grandmammy, and I'm like, y'all really country. I started thinking, I was like, okay, my great grandfather was not allowed to own land, but I'm gonna be somebody's great grandfather one day.
Right, who owns land. Yep.
I want to be in that conversation 3-4 generations from now, where my great grandson says my great grandfather bought this land. I can only focus on the future. I can't. Yes, they were handed a good, they had a good setup. I get it. But in 2022, bro, there's so much privilege in being Hispanic.
It is. Like, y'all gotta walk in that. Y'all gotta own it.
Bro, I've been pulled over 5 times in the last year and a half by white cops. I never got a ticket. As soon as they come to my car, I'm like, man, I'm glad to see you. Can I get a picture with you? Because society doesn't see this side of you. They're just like, they don't know how to act. They don't give me a ticket. They just get out of Dodge, right? I walk into a store, like, it's like, oh, like, I love being, even if you're not a confident person, when you're Black and you walk into an environment, people just assume you're confident. Like, nobody else has that privilege. I run with it.
I know I do. I hold my own, even if I feel like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? You know what? You better go and channel it, because and I've been in many rooms. I'm talking about, like, with people with all kind of major awards and all kind of stuff. You know what? I deserve to be here too. So, hey, let's make it do what it do.
And the fact that you think like that, I wish more people think like that. Like, I deserve to be here. I went from I deserve to be here to I'm supposed to be here. That if I'm not here, it just feels awkward. And recently, my wife and I had somebody over for dinner, and I was ear hustling because she was talking to my wife. I found she's a billionaire. If I would have always, and she don't look like me, if I would have always thought the way the media wants me to think, I would have never been in a position to have a billionaire and her husband at my table,
right,
and in a space to add value. And her questions to me were, can you, without putting, I don't want to put a bunch of, she needed me to help her with an individual that she had in her, like, that she knew. And I was like, oh, I can coach them. But my social media is so fire and is so succinct with what my heart is. I don't ever talk about race, religion, sports, or politics. 3 of the things.
Sports.
I ain't good at them. You don't make me just put all that out there. Don't look, brothers, just hear me out on this. I've never watched a basketball game. I've never watched a football game. My thought process on that is, if I'm going to watch somebody make $1 million
right
on TV, it's me.
I know that's right.
My dollars aren't, I don't have stock in the Rams. I don't have stock in a person. I'll never wear another man's jersey with his name, his family's legacy on my back.
You sound like me.
I'll never do that.
Man, my husband asked me before we had our son if I would name our son Kobe. I was like, Kobe don't put no money in this house. No, Kobe ain't having this baby.
Right. No. Like, that's just how I think. But I've always been dialed in that way. I'm gonna stay here for 2 hours and watch somebody win or lose. No, I have enough losses in my life. I'm gonna watch me for 2 hours and read for 2 hours and watch some YouTube videos on how to make money in my space for 2 hours. And then I might go to some event. Now I get it. I've done the floor seats. I've been to the games and done the things, but I'm there for networking. I'm there for optics. You take a picture of me on a floor seat. I post that on social media. The perception is I'm that dude. And it's not a perception, it's reality. I'm that dude. What it is. Right. Yeah. But I work towards it. Like you're that, I don't know what they say. You're that woman, you're that ball, however that works, but you're that person. You're not a dude. Right. And but you worked towards that. Right. And there's a confidence that you have. As soon as you popped on, I'm like, yo, those glasses, fire, right? But it takes confidence to do that. I walk around in cowboy boots all the time. Why? Because I know that historically, people see a man in cowboy boots. One, if they see a black man, it messes with their brain, but it doesn't allow them to stereotype me. So now that I'm on stage talking to thousands of people with might be 100 people that look like me, but everybody else does not. It's like, yo, this dude is like the real deal. But it's all part of branding. And if you remove emotions out of business, you'll be able to brand yourself to grow, to increase what you have in your bank account and your platform on this world.
Ooh, come on, y'all. Because I know I be getting a little emotional sometimes. I'm still working on it. But you are so right. You are so right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so look, here's our fast boxing round. So I know you don't watch any sports, but you know a little something because you ride motorcycles.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I like boxing. Let's get it. Let's get it. Ding, ding, ding.
So these are questions for you to think fast on your feet, right? So Name one athlete in business you wish you knew personally.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, good one. Name an athlete in your family and their sport.
My wife, and it was basketball.
You did say that earlier. If you could do anything and not fail, what would it be?
I would skydive. So when I think of failing, I think of dying. I would skydive, but I would use a wingsuit. So I'd have a helicopter take me up as high as they can, drop me out with my wingsuit, and just flow through the Netherlands like I'm Batman.
Oh, wow. That's cool. If you could have dinner with one person, anybody in the world, who would it be?
Right off the top of my head, Sean Combs.
Oh, okay. And this is an added on because by the time we air this, it will be Black History Month.
Let's get it.
So name one person in Black history that has impacted you or your success.
Condoleezza Rice.
Ooh, okay.
I did private security for her once.
That's really, how did that go?
Hindsight, because in the moment I'm doing my job. I'm
right.
Like Mr. Commando. But hindsight, watching her move. Let me just paint the picture. So I'm at an egress, and she's got 4 Secret Service agents with her. One is a female, and I see her down the hallway. She's coming out of her room, and they're walking. They got 2 in front, 2 in the back, and they're all armed, but they're Secret Service agents, and they look like they do. And then immediately, like right outside, because I could see out the corner of my eye, the front entrance, these 2 4-door Tahoes pull up, exact same time, doors open up, exact same time. She's living her normal life on the phone, like she trusts her environment. And she's short, but her walk, like you felt the vibration of her power, her global power as she walked by me. It was like a typhoon. And looking at her, and I was the only brother there, and she looked, on camera, you couldn't have even seen it. Wow. But I knew it was like I see you,
bro.
Right, exactly. And she showed me that little bit of respect right there in that moment that she could. And then she went on and did her thing. And what I thought was poise.
That's awesome.
And it changed how I carried myself even further. Maintain poise.
I know that's right.
Man,
oh, yeah, I like that.
Fire.
I know I'm not a Condoleezza Rice honey, but every time I'm abroad and I see somebody that's African American, I'm like, hey, what y'all doing over here? Oh my God. No, that's that is amazing. All right. So look, our next round, and we're about ready to wrap up, is the legal round. And this is brought to you guys by the S.L. DeBarros law firm, providing legal innovation you can trust to help you operate efficiently with authenticity and increased legal protection. So, Dom, our legal round asks you 3 questions because I'm a lawyer. So I want to dig into people's minds and figure out what are some of the thoughts they have about the law or lawyers. So what is one thing that you love about the law?
That it's there. A phrase my brothers used the other day: you don't argue with cops, you argue with attorneys.
I know that's right. Okay. So what are 3 things you wish you'd known about the law?
3 things I wish I knew about the law. I wish I knew, that I wish I knew how difficult it is for attorneys to operate in the space that they're in, and that all attorneys don't want the worst for people. I'm speaking from a brother of attorneys. And I wish I knew. I wish I knew early on that I didn't have to pay those camera light tickets, like those when you go through the stop sign or whatever, and the light flashes. Like I was 3 tickets in when I found out you ain't got to pay those,
right?
Because there's due process on how you get served, and I'm like not answering that door. But anyways, the third thing would be I wish I knew more, which I'm going to learn about tax law.
Okay. I really hate tax law, but there's a lot of strategies in that. Like it help you save a lot of money.
And make a lot of money.
And you talk about due process. I helped a client, this was some years ago now, but I helped a client to get rid of a $300,000 lawsuit. Apparently they hadn't served him. Yep. And they were already in the process of trying to collect assets. And I went in and got it moved back to the right court and dismissed.
What type of law do you practice, out of curiosity?
Litigation, civil litigation, business, and sports entertainment. Yep.
Okay. I knew the sports part. I just didn't know the rest. Okay.
Yep. All right. And so here's the last question about the legal round. What scares you most about the law?
What scares me most? Like, honestly, just because I'm an ex-cop, I don't like going to court. I don't care if I'm just going to court to visit my brothers. I don't like the smell of the place. So being ignorant about the law, it scares me. In conjunction with, at the bottom line, the dollar sign. The more money you can spend on an attorney, the caliber of attorney, the better your chances of winning. Yeah. That to me is scary for a lot of people. For me, but not for me. It's for me for the circumstances of other people.
Yeah. I used to be afraid of courtrooms. Actually, I used to be afraid of the law, period, and afraid of cops. Growing up, I experienced something and saw something that really just put me in that space. But I'm a firm believer that the things we're most afraid about is the space that God will put us in to make the greatest impact. And it is absolutely, I don't know, it's kind of amazing to walk into a courtroom, to be in a space where I used to be deathly afraid of.
Right.
And stand my ground. Yeah. All right. So we're going to wrap up. And my last question for you, Dom, because we've talked a lot about grandparents, somewhat about the lessons that they've taught you and taught me. So for legacy is a huge thing. Look, doesn't matter what you have. Everybody leaves a legacy. So it depends on you and what type of legacy you want to leave. So how do you wish to build a legacy with what you do?
I'm going to build a legacy. So the question was how? By one, adding value to the last name Faussette. Teaching my son how to treat himself before I start treating him, or teaching him how to treat people. Oftentimes in our culture, we teach our kids how to treat people, but we never teach them how to treat themselves.
That's huge.
And raising the bar for my sons and my daughter.
Yeah.
Their bar now is, Daddy, do we have to take the Porsche? I'd rather not. Can we just, it's embarrassing. All my friends call me the rich kid. I'm like, homie, you're not rich. You can't even clean your room, right? All your allowance got taken. So you're not rich. But anyways, I digress. Being, and I know people say this, just be the example that he can look back on, but then be okay with other people teaching my son life lessons. Everything's not going to come from me. And be okay with my brothers and sisters disciplining my son. That's the topic for another day. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Expanding the village. Yep.
Yes.
I've seen that. Woo, honey, that is another. We're going to have to just talk off. We have to talk offline. That is huge. That is huge.
Auntie so-and-so might need to bust Jerome in the head because you too soft on him, because you walking around talking about my parents did this to me and I didn't like it. Well, you turned out all right.
Okay. Wow. Oh my gosh. Look, this has been so fun, and I spent way much more time with you than I even thought I was going to. So thank you for being here, being in the moment, being vulnerable, and also just sharing a lot about your story, because I've learned a lot. But I know that our viewers and people who have either watched this or will watch and listen to this later, their lives are going to be so much more enriched just because of what we talked about today. So thank you again for coming on to What Are You Sporting About?
And thank you to Denise, who we served in the military together way back in the day, for connecting me with you.
So Denise is my cousin, and for you guys, in the podcast world. So Denise is our virtual assistant for What Are You Sporting About? And she mentioned you to me. I was like, let me go check this dude out. I was like,
My Instagram fire, ain't it? You're like, this brother doing the thing.
When you said, he was like, yeah, my Instagram is on point. I'm thinking to myself, it actually is. Yeah. So no, yeah, I definitely appreciate her for that and for all the work that she does. Dom, you are ex-military. Demise is also ex-military. So for all of you ex-military, ex-cop guys, we got love for y'all too. So check us out. Make sure you stay connected. Visit our website at prosportlawyer.com. If you are an athlete or entrepreneur wanting to increase your bottom line by enhancing your business protection, make sure you join our new course launching March 21st of this year. You can go to the link bit.ly/AMM course. And if you want to get more one-on-one support from an attorney like myself, Sivonnia DeBarros, protector of athletes, you can go and apply at sldebarros.com/apply. So guys, until next time, I will check you later. And as always, it is my pleasure, my honor to support you and educate you and motivate you to your very next level. Ciao.
For joining us this week on What Are You Sporting About podcast. Make sure to visit our website, prosportlawyer.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your favorite platform is, so you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, What Are You Sporting About? Attorney Sivonnia DeBarros is available for private consulting at sldebarros.com. And remember, we're here to educate, support, and guide you in your journey to success, because we're all sporting about something.